bit, I'm going to invite Beth up to read the Science of Mind magazine. She's got her eyes done, so I'm going to just like hold her.
Good morning, everyone. So today it says, getting back in the game. Those who love you are not fooled by mistakes you have made or dark images you hold about yourself. They remember your beauty when you feel ugly, your wholeness when you feel broken, your innocence when you feel guilty, and your purpose when you are confused. That's by Alan Cohen. And from the Science of Mind text, nothing is real to us unless we make it real. Nothing can touch us until we let it touch us. Refuse to have the feelings hurt. Refuse to receive anyone's condemnation. In the independence of your own mentality, believe and feel that you are wonderful. This is not conceited. It is the truth. What can be more wonderful than the manifestation of infinite mind? Page 307 in the Science of Mind magazine. The holiday season notoriously distracts us from the highest understanding of who we are and why we're here. Our lives are exceedingly more joyous, productive, and meaningful when we remember the truth of our being. Sometimes we can pull ourselves out of a funk simply by remembering this truth. Other times we need those who love us to remember and remind us of the truths we've forgotten. Either way, we can return to our highest state of being simply by remembering our sacred place in the divine scheme of things. Everyone falls into an emotional hole from time to time. And doing so isn't particularly noteworthy, but when it happens, it can be painful, emotionally depleting, and incredibly distracting. The only way out of such a predicament is to choose to rise up, give yourself a good talking to, or call a beloved friend for support. Then get back to living as a magnificent God being you are and always have been. Happy holidays, and more important, happy life. And the affirmation, being surrounded by those who love me, I remember who I am. My life is wonderful. Together, being surrounded by those who love me, I remember who I am. My life is wonderful, and so it is. This morning we invite our guest speaker, one of our ministers, Reverend Teresa Phillips, and her topic today is recognizing the spirit within, which goes along with the December theme of living as wholeness. Reverend Teresa Phillips, to the podium.
I have a mic. I didn't turn it on. Okay. I'm turned on. Okay. Yeah. So if you remember me, you'll remember I never come up here without a bag of stuff. I'm a bag lady. What can I say? I'll put it down here. All right. Well, hi. How is everybody? Good, good. Because today's a new day. And here we are. So we've all noticed how dark it is in the mornings. So it seems to come so early. And yet there are incredible stars. There's so much beauty out there that we can now see because it's dark. All we have to do is look. And that's like life. We have to look. What do we see? What are we going to do about it? Are we going to enjoy it or move away from it? I remember was my little grandson, like he's my little grandson, but he was maybe 4. And we were watching a show, and I was saying, now you just can't stop and go do this. We're watching the show. And he said to me, Granny, just put it on pause. And I thought, like at the time I thought, but then I got thinking what wise words. Anything in life, if we can, and it's difficult, or things are in the way, put it on pause. Have a little meditation. Call someone. Take time for yourself. And then you just put the reset button and off you go. And then if you need another pause, the button's still there, put on pause. So in this busyness, we can put things on pause. It seems dark for a long time, and we use the phrase being in the dark. And it normally describes all manner of discomfort, confusion, or ignorance. But it's also thinking of when you're exposed to your fears, being in the dark. And we all have challenging times. And way back when I was little wee, I think 4, around 4, we had a fire at my house. It was Labor Day. And my mother was severely burned in the fire. And so they took my mom away, put her in the hospital for, 2-3 weeks. I had to stay with an aunt. And my dad was a carpenter, so he and his friends helped rebuild the house. So we moved into our house and lived in the little house. And it's just down the hill here where I lived. But there were just wood floors, no linoleum or anything. There was no money for that yet. We had the walls, but there was no interior. It was just the outside walls. And that was our Christmas. We had our Christmas there. And I'll always remember that because Mom and Dad had no money because they had to rebuild the house. So they bought this teddy bear. And I remember that teddy bear. And that teddy bear saved my life, I thought, because I knew that teddy bear was the mighty protector. And I had teddy bear in my bedroom, and teddy bear took care of my whole bedroom and all my other dolls and whatever else I had. Teddy bear was my mighty protector. I was safe. And I knew there was always hope because teddy bear was there. So that's one of my memories of Christmas, is my house burning down, of having absolutely nothing, of my mom leaving me, being abandoned. But she wasn't leaving me, she was seriously injured. But then it was a good memory because the teddy bear was there. There was hope. It gave me hope, a belief that things would get better. So the winter solstice, it's a message of the coming of light, to give thanks for the year that has been, to remember loved ones, and to shine a light for the year ahead. And when I look at that major memory of Christmas, there was hope. I knew that things were going to get better, and it did. Dad finished building the house, and we got linoleum on the floors, and things were better. I had my mom, I had my dad, I had my big brother, and best of all, Teddy, the mighty protector. Spiritual, Dr. Holmes says this, spiritually may be defined as an atmosphere of good, the realization of God. And to me, that trust that I had developed in that situation was my realization of God, God in everything, every experience. There's some spark of spirit, some goodness. It cannot and does not borrow its light from another. It springs from within, from the well-being spring of its own self-existence. It is the revelation of the self to the self, one's own atonement with reality, our connection with the God essence. It is here. We are all one with the divine, separate yet connected. About 45 years after, we were going through some old boxes, and guess who I found? I found Teddy Bear. And there he was, and his leg was falling off. So, and he was only made out of cotton, because they didn't have much money. So I sewed it back on, had to sew. But when I saw Teddy, I grabbed him, and I hugged him, and I just loved him, and I even cried. It brought back so many memories. The knowing everything would be okay. One of the beautiful things that we can recognize and knowing it's the light is infinite and it's always available to us. That life within us, the God essence. And it's funny how everything is connected. The light of life never goes out. And in our lives, so many times, things come full circle. I bought a Hudson Bay bear one Christmas. And that was when my mom was ill. And I went to visit her, and I had the bear, and she said, "You bought me a bear." And I just bought the bear. And so I gave it to her. And she had so much joy in her life from a simple little stuffed animal, just like I did. So it came full circle. I was able to give back to my mother, who I'd felt had abandoned me when I was little, and yet she hadn't. I was able to give her love that way. Winter solstice and its message of the coming light is to give thanks for the year that has been. So think of your year. Think of the highlights. Think of the good things. I know those who have known me a long time may remember the basement gang, I called them. And it was when my son was, high school. And he started bringing all of these kids home. And right before that, there'd been an incident in Red Deer where a young fellow had been beat up severely. And the young fellow had kind of the punk look. And he was beat up severely. And my son, some of his friends had the punk look. And so they would want to go out and do things, and I'd say, "Oh, no, come on downstairs. You can come to our basement." One of the reasons was I wanted them to be safe, and they were safe in my basement. So I'd go down every once in a while with snacks for them, and "Oh, you're so nice, Mrs. Phillips." And I'm thinking, no, I'm not being nice. I'm checking up on you guys, but you haven't figured it out yet. But that's part of it. But you see, the basement gang, they've grown up, they've had children, and we still are connected with those kids. Some of them even when they had to leave home stayed at our house a little bit. But one of them has a child who wants to go to Puerto Rico, and they have a school thing, they need money. And they don't have a lot of money, so her and her son are making these crafts, so I bought one. And it says, I am always with you. And it's a cardinal. But if you look inside, you can't see it, of course, but there's a heart inside. So this is made if there's someone you really want to remember that's either not with you now or whatever. But so I bought that, and then my daughter-in-law, she bought some. So we ended up buying all of them and paying them double so that to help the boy go to Puerto Rico. It is wonderful. And I'll always remember the basement gang and their kids now. And they'll always remember there's some home they can come to if they have problems and talk things over, because that's happened. They come over, Mrs. Phillips, yada, yada, or Mr. Phillips, yada, yada. So to have a place to go where you know you're going to be loved no matter what, it's pretty important. So our monthly theme, living as wholeness, Dr. Holmes said in Science of Mind, the spark which burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living and eternal flame of spirit. In other words, the God essence within. So each of us have a flame inside. Some of us, it's turned down low. Some of it's a flaming high. But we have that life force within us. And it is time to recognize, rediscover, and nurture and express this divine spark, because each of you have a different spark, and each of you can do something totally different. Like Edith sings. Anyone who knows me says, oh, yeah, no, don't even ask her to sing. Don't even be near her when she sings. And I remember my mother was a singer, and from the time I was a little girl, I would say, you can't sing, you sure can't sing. And I thought, oh, okay. And you know what? I sure can't sing. But there's so many other beautiful talents that people have. Some people are writers. Some people are musicians that play instruments. I'm looking at Ruth. And there's others like piano and all kinds of stuff. Some are painters. Some are teachers. Some are people that just are kind and loving. Each of us have beautiful things. So you may hear me say a lot, everywhere I look, I see the face of God, but I do believe that. It's time to recognize, to rediscover and nurture that spark in us, and to see the face of God in others, but also in ourselves. Okay, now, if you have anything negative thoughts, stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it, yeah. I remember I loved school, and yeah, I hated it, but teacher would come with his ruler, whack, whack, walk this way, yeah. And I would think, stop it. Just think, stop. If something's negative, let it go and have a whole new path to your journey. It's time to forgive ourselves. In our own unique way, we each kindle the flame or spark of life. The universe knows us as whole. Whole, we are all one of the divine. I have experienced many spiritually changing moments, but one of them, the most impressive, was seeing the birth of my first grandchild. Because here came this body. Here's the body. And then it went, and, you know, like I've seen babies born on TV and all of that, but a real live, I saw a whole new human become alive at that moment. I saw and thought to myself, who is this person? Who will this person become? How will this person change the world? Because they will. And that to me was another, it was like, it proved the higher power, but it made me understand how much I need to yet know about the higher power. Because how did that breath come in? Like physically we all know, but that was a whole human. Boom, there they are. Just unbelievable. So when my hubby, sometimes you hear me call him Sweet Babu on my Facebook, but just because that bugs him, so I do it a little extra. But we were first married in 1975, and he was transferred from Wolco here to Victoria. And I was able to get a temporary job, and it was executive assistant to the BC Premier's press secretary. And then permanently as executive secretary to the assistant, the cabinet minister of agriculture and economic development. So all that time, I worked in the parliament buildings in Victoria. And they were these beautiful, beautiful glass, stained glass windows that portrayed the history of BC. And I learned that those stained glass windows came from overseas. They came across the Atlantic Ocean, but they came in great big barrels of molasses so that they could not move and break. And so that reminded me that our journey in life, sometimes we really are kind of stuck somewhere, but we're still ourselves. And we will get out of that being stuck. Or if there's anything we're fearful of, we have all that love, that protection, that God essence around us that is always protecting us. We are always safe and secure. We are each a field of intelligence, and all individuals and every relationship, as well as all events, are interconnected, mutually independent, and a pattern of perfection. Our lives, regardless of conditions, are one with the divine. There can be no separation. So Dr. Holmes said, life is one perfect wholeness. The universe is a unit. God is one. And I experienced a real interesting example of this in my lifetime in British Columbia. Because right after I finished college, before I met my husband, I relocated to North Vancouver. And I worked downtown Vancouver in the Marine Building, and it was for the BC Forest Service. And I, all by myself, get an apartment by myself, didn't have a lot of money. So I'd walk for lunch, and I'd go and sit in Victory Square, and they were rubbies there. But I didn't care. Yeah. They were fellows who were feeding the pigeons, and I would feed them with them, and I'd talk to them, and actually I had some quite good friends there. And I remembered when I would walk there and walk back, I'd walk past an old established men's club. It could have been like a stock market. They would come out in their suits with their cigars, and they would be 3 to 4 abreast, and they would not move for anybody. So you would have to get off the sidewalk, and you would have to go around them and get back on. So it's a funny thing after that. My husband always asked me, I don't know why you don't like seeing men in suits. What's the problem? But I always remember that. The power hungry, the rudeness. Well, remember I just said all individuals and every relationship, as well as all events, are interconnected, mutually independent, interdependent, and a pattern of perfection. Well, I told you I married Russ. We moved, and I worked in the Parliament buildings, and I ended up working for a cabinet minister. He handled the money because it was agriculture and economic development. So people would come to him if they needed money or wanted grants to do different business ventures, new things. So the people that would come to my desk. And guess who some of those people were that came to my desk? They were the men that walked four abreast and shoved me off of the sidewalk. So it all comes around. There was even one fellow came from Red Deer. And like he knew who I was when he saw me, but we didn't say anything. But he'd scammed me here with a makeup beauty products I sold. And here he is coming, having to ask this secretary if he can come in and see the minister to get the money, and he's asking the person he scammed. Who would have guessed those, 700-800 miles apart, that stuff doesn't happen, but it did. So there is someone I want to talk about. I've talked to people about him before, but his name is Rory Charles Graham. He's 6'5". He's 38 years old, and he's from England. So he's not a football player or anything like that, but he's someone I really admire. Because when he was at school, he was considered a challenge. So he attended one community college, and they expelled him. He enrolled in another one in his hometown. Everything went okay. And when he was there, he and his other buddies, through the Prince's Trust, they went and grew gardens for the whole community because they were poor people in a poor financial community. And he supports, they were painting everything, and now he supports the local football team. But you see, he stood out. He was very large, and he was a challenge in school. But he believed in himself. He had a deep baritone voice. And he started singing and started a band. And he adopted the name Rag and Bone Man. Now, I wanted to play his music, but I couldn't hear with getting everything set up. But his record, Human, and I'm sure all of you have heard it, and it's You're Only Human After All, You're Only Human After All, Don't Put the Blame on Me. And that has been, the record was certified gold in Austria, Belgium, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Sweden, Switzerland. And it is been on 2 Amazon Prime TV shows as their music. It was a video game, and it's TV series and a lot of advertisements that you probably saw. And it was also at the Super Bowl. His albums have gained gold certification in the USA. The boy that was the challenge, but he believed in himself. This is the time of year when we think of the past, many of us. Think of the future. Hope we see family and friends. It's a time to love. Love yourself. Love others. Reach out to people. Everyone we meet has a story to tell, and that story is going to be incredible. Some of them will knock your socks off. It's just like we were having dinner. We go to the Golden Circle, and we were talking with these men, and these men were from Germany, and they spoke about what it was like there at the time, different times. So we saw what would have been enemies. We were one. There are no enemies. We are all one in the divine. There is no one better than anyone else. We are all one with God. We are infinite presence of the divine. We are a gift from the divine to the world. Let go of any fear. Let go of any self-doubt. Let go of any anger. And if you need help from someone, just to listen, ask someone. You don't know if someone's hurting unless they tell you. And like that song says, we're only human after all. Don't put the blame on me. Not everyone's life is full of fun. Not everyone's life, you see TV and whatever and think, oh, life is so good. Well, no. And for me, the Christmas is good, but it reminds me of the fire. So we all have different connections. What I did like, I saw on television, it was, this is Canada from one end to the other. It was St. Andrews, New Brunswick, and they have a Christmas tree and they make it out of lobster traps. And they hang buoys from the tree and the lobster traps, and the buoys are painted. And it's a $30 donation for the buoys, and the funds all go to the food bank. And Qualicum Beach, there's a girl, so that's in BC, there's a girl, and she just loves electricity and fixing things. She's maybe 10, 11, and her dad is an electrician. So she said, can you help me, Dad, fix these broken lamps? And she said, I want to do this. I like doing this. So they put it on social media, and she's fixing all these lamps. People are paying her, and with that money, she's going out and buying Christmas presents for people. So one side of Canada to the other, all united in the joy and wonder of Christmas. So what I hope that you may have received from what I'm saying is how important each of you are. How different we all are. And if someone's different, that's the beauty of who they are. I think of my basement kids, and these are like my little basement grandchildren that are raising money for things. People are around to be loved. And we're people, and we're here to be loved. So, I would like you to repeat with me, if you so wish. I am one with the divine. I am a joy to be around. I love myself, and I share my greatness with all. And away we go.